just started driving like an absolute idiot trying to get back to the front.
It reminded me of Chili Bowl, honestly. Like, the sliders were like, if your right rear could just get to the Nerf bar, it was like clear.
Tanner was flipping Brent Marks off under yellow. Like, it was intense the whole way.
All right, welcome back to the High Limit Room. Dylan Welch, I was told he's at the barber getting a haircut. No, he's actually at Barber Motorsports Park doing some announcing at the race. I don't even know what race it is, IMSA or IndyCar, I'm not really sure. But filling in, I'm Chase Raudman. You hear me on FloRacing as the announcer for the High Limit Racing Sprint Cars. Filling in for Dylan Welch, we got Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet here, obviously, with us as usual. So, guys, obviously we got some victory toasts to get to. Brad, 2 wins at Southern Oklahoma and Salina. And then the last show was on March 15th. And so, Kyle, you do have a win, Xfinity at COTA. So we'll toast to those as well. I've got a spiked Starbucks here that I'm going to take a drink of. But congrats, guys, on those wins.
Yeah, thanks. Obviously, good to get winning with the High Limit Racing series. It was a lot. Seemed like a long time and a lot of seconds and thirds. So glad to get in victory lane.
Yeah, I feel like it's been like super competitive. Obviously, I didn't think anybody would think that it'd take 8 races for you to get a win. Obviously, Rico hasn't gotten a win yet. Kyle got that first one out of the way, but kind of struggled here recently. I just feel like the competition with High Limit so far is better than honestly what we were expecting with Corey and Sunshine, obviously, and Macri got a win in there, but it's been super, super competitive all year so far.
Yeah, you never know, when a group comes together, like how, and we go to new tracks, and obviously Corey Day is a wild card. We know he has a lot of talent, but you just don't know how he's going to do, on a national level under, more pressure against different competition. But it's really not surprising to me. He was, extremely good last year on the West Coast, and I just felt like he had that, crazy potential, a little bit of that Kyle Larson in him, I always call it. Just kind of can always make speed and doesn't make a lot of mistakes for his age. So, he's been crazy fast and taking all our money, those midweek races, so he's doing a good job. And then obviously Tyler's been, really consistent and right up front every night. And then obviously, I guess the surprise is probably a few of the guys that we thought would be a little more consistent, even though we're only 10 races in, haven't been as much. Rico's had a few bad nights, but has shown speed. So I look for him to get on track and really start competing through these summer months more competitively. Brent's been kind of quiet, but he's there every night. We got like a really diverse group and a really deep group. And it's just some guys run a little bit better on the shorter tracks, and some guys run a little bit better on the bigger tracks, and we're going through a lot of tracks that some guys have been to and some haven't. So you see that experience definitely helps guys that have been to tracks. And then I've noticed when I haven't been to a track that they've been to, they have a little bit of a advantage on us. So it's been interesting. It's been fun. It's nice to go to new tracks. It's nice to have, a little bit more freedom. Definitely, like for instance, this weekend we'd been going to the races, but the weather looked bad, so able to come home and spend some time with the family instead of sitting on the road. So definitely enjoying the little bit of differences and enjoying the different group of guys that I've been racing against, and had a lot of fun competing night in and night out so far.
Obviously, we know Corey Day is really good. Kyle, what do you make of his last stretch here? He went, Brad's talking about new tracks, but Corey had never seen a single one of those and came out of there with 3 wins and 2 of them being $20,000 worth. I feel like he is just, he's really good. I feel like he's like the Sheldon of High Limit, really. He's exciting every single night.
No doubt. Yeah, he's super fun to watch. As Brad mentioned, I think everybody's kind of had them on their radar for the last couple of years, and it's crazy to think he's only 18 years old and first time seeing all these places. And yeah, he's just crazy good, like fast, doesn't make mistakes, like lives on the edge, but doesn't really make mistakes. I think a guy like Sheldon or me, even at times, like we live on the edge, but we also make lots of mistakes. So Corey, though, right now is racing a lot of confidence. His team's doing a good job, and these tracks are really suiting him as well. So I think as we get to see him on bigger tracks where qualifying is even more important, I think that's where it'll get a little bit tougher for him, because kind of a lot like me. We struggle qualifying on half miles and stuff. So as the tracks get bigger, I think it'll get tougher on him. But he's doing a super good job of better than what I thought he would be doing, honestly, at this point in the season. But it's still a long year and all that. But him, Sunshine, Brad, they've all been really good. So it's been fun to see and frustrating when I've been at the racetrack because I've not really been a part of the mix much. So hopefully we can get our stuff better. We can be mixing up with everybody.
So obviously Corey getting the win on our last race at Riverside, and it was pretty exciting to see him go around the very outside and make the move on Sunshine for the win. All right, now switching gears, let's talk about some safety concerns at Riverside with the incident with Brian Bell and the incident with Tim Crawley and a couple other guys getting into the fence over there. And Brad, I know that you had a pretty lengthy discussion with the promoter over there at Riverside, and we just want people to know that obviously safety is a huge priority for High Limit. We've got the MedStar team with us at every race, and I know that you want to speak on that.
Yeah, I don't think we want to shy away from what happened and try to pretend like everything's kosher. I think that obviously the fence wasn't. It's not very adequate, to be honest. It doesn't, it's a catch fence for a reason. It's supposed to kind of keep the cars inside and the fans safe. And obviously we're really fortunate that when a car leaves the track that the fans are okay and the driver is okay. So it's definitely something that we don't want to ignore just because everybody is okay. So, we did have a conversation with Clayton. He owns the racetrack there. Obviously he needs to make some improvements with some cables and, some things that need to hold the fence in place. And I'm sure he has a big race at the end of the year, and I'm sure the World of Outlaws are going to be looking at that as well. So I brought that to his attention that, when you're on a big stage and a car goes to the fence, there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of different opinions. And, from a high limit standpoint, we certainly, want to make sure that they make those improvements before we go back and race there. And that's something in this first year that we really want to look at these racetracks, and we want to work with the tracks because obviously we own a track out in Chico, and I know how hard it is to make the improvements, especially in a short amount of time, and how much money it takes to, you're not talking about a couple feet of fencing. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of feet of fencing, and you're talking about hundreds and couple $100,000 to probably update it to what it needs to be. So, certainly a lot of improvements need to be made to the fence at Riverside, and I'm hoping that Clayton, with having these big events, will do well enough that he can reinvest some of that money and make those improvements. So we don't have those issues, and so that we can keep going back to Riverside, because obviously the crowd was great. The fans, loved the racing, and it's a sprint car hub, you could tell. And honestly, as the drivers, I know we had some issues through the night with some water coming up to the track, but the A main was awesome. It was a lot of fun to race on a bull ring like that and in front of a crowd like that. So just need to get the fencing better. And honestly, we're making notes at, every track we go to. If we see things, we want to keep making improvements in our first year so that, 5 and 10 years down the road that we can look back and say that we had a good impression or did a good job in helping these facilities improve over time, because it's not going to happen overnight, and everybody has to kind of acknowledge that.
Absolutely. Kyle, you had a little bit of a back and forth, some discourse with Danny Dietrich on Twitter under this under this topic here. It was a wacky night. I mean, you guys had to go out there. The first two heat races had to re-hot lap because there was, as Brad mentioned, literally water coming up from underneath the surface from the river down the road. So can you give us a little insight on what you guys are having to deal with there?
Yeah, it was like you said, it was odd. I've never seen something like that. I've grown up in California, raced at Petaluma, Watsonville. You always hear about the tide and, moisture coming back up throughout the night. But I've never seen it like literally puddle during the night. We pushed off for engine heat, and I was wrong. I was like, God, how did they miss it this bad? Like, how did they forget to put water on it? And then, we started hot laps. I'm like, man, this thing's never going to blow off. Then I'm like, man, I got to start on the bottom of this heat race. And then I'm watching like the first heat out there rolling around. Like, it's wet. Like, there's water. It's like, where did it come from? So yeah, the first heat hot laps, I don't know, 20-ish laps. We probably hot lap close to that as well. And just was what it was. I mean, at that point you kind of had to go racing. It wasn't getting any better. It was honestly getting worse, the harder we were trying to get it better. And then, yeah, I mean, there's people on social media that aren't there that probably just clicked, play knowing it's about heat race time and see that the bottom of the track's wet and don't really know the backstory of what's going on. And Danny's a very outspoken guy, always has an opinion. But I think when you don't really know the facts, which we've all gotten ourselves caught up in that, in the past. But so I was just trying to hey, man, what could we have done differently? Because I feel like, we did more than what, most series probably would know what to do. We tried some speedy dry out on the track. We tried hot lap, and we tried, pushing cars from the infield. Everything we did, nothing was making much of a difference until we got finally to the main event. And even then, we still had some wet spots, but it was just odd. I have never seen a track do that, but it honestly kind of made it fun too, because you didn't really know what to expect. You didn't know when the track was finally gonna, even out. But yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy night for sure.
And then the main event though, when the water kind of did finally, whatever, the river tide went down or whatever happened, then all of a sudden it was getting slick in a hurry. So it was a fine line. I feel of the track was hard. If it didn't have the water kind of coming up, I do feel like it would have went, to Kyle's point, really slick really quick, and could have went the other way. But it's just, I'd just say it's very unique, and that's part of the process of learning, is we've never been there before. We've never experienced that. So I think we did our best, and I think we got through the night. I think the fans really enjoyed the show, and honestly the A main was great. So other than the cars, and the fencing, I think the overall racing that Riverside puts on is amazing.
I'm still convinced the entire state of Arkansas was there that night. There was so many people, even at 4:00, there was 1 million people in the pit area walking around. So that was cool to see. So shifting gears, I feel like this was really the first test for High Limit. We went, it was supposed to be 7 races. Unfortunately, we lost Texarkana, but 6 races over a course of 2 weeks. And it was really the first test, I would say, for High Limit, to see if we can get into a rhythm and things like that with the full, officials and the whole team and everything. Brad, how would you, recap this April swing? We went to Texas, RPM, Red Dirt, Southern Oklahoma, Salina, and then finished it off at Riverside. I felt like, from the racing side of things, every race there was a good race for the lead. But how would you do it? How would you look at it from besides the racing point with all of High Limit, the big picture, I guess? Yeah,
I mean, I think you got to let the fans speak a little, but I mean, from my perspective, you guys are doing a great job as a new group that's, kind of all came together. I love what you and Tony Laporta are doing. I think you guys are, doing a great job, bring a lot of energy and excitement and fun and newness to the show, and really enjoying that. Obviously, when Dylan comes in, it's really cool. I think it just adds another element, and you guys do a good job with that. I think Mike Hess is doing a great job. I think, his whole staff that, they're fine tuning, how they run their show and, how they set up, their signage, and what their processes look like. And, we're a startup, we're new, we're 10 races in. And I think that, we're competing night in and night out with some of the best racing and best shows, in dirt track racing already. So do I think there's a lot of room for improvement? Yes. Do I think that, we're going to make some mistakes still and have to learn from them? Yes. Do I think that, there's been some mistakes made in these first shows? Absolutely. We'll acknowledge them. But I think for the most part, we've done a great job, and we all knew this wasn't going to be easy. But at the end of the day, the racing has been good. The fans have enjoyed the shows, and people have been tuning in and seeing a lot of positivity. There's always the haters out there, but we don't pay attention to them. We just focus in on what we're trying to accomplish as a group, and I think for the most part, they're doing a great job.
Kyle, I think you've been able to be at 3 of those races, Texas and then Red Dirt, obviously, and Riverside. Texas, there was 1 million people there as well. It was cool to be able to have the NASCAR crowd come over and see a sprint car race for the first time. And you could, I could tell that there were NASCAR fans there. Like, they were standing up in the middle of the race at lap 12. There's nothing going on. They're just standing up because they're just excited, right? How would you characterize, obviously you weren't in every race, but I'm sure you watched all of them. How would you characterize the start to this little swing for High Limit?
Yeah, no, I think for me, the product on track has been amazing. Every single race, in my opinion, has been super exciting. So that's good. And I think that's something that, our drivers and tracks that we've selected have produced, good racing. The races that I've been at, as you mentioned, Texas, Red Dirt, and then Riverside, the crowds, the atmosphere was all really good. Texas was fun, because as you mentioned, it was a different, set of fans there, and having the pre-race, show with Kenny Wallace, was a lot of fun because you got to kind of look out in the crowd, and I would say it was 50-50 split on, NASCAR fans and sprint car fans. And, as you said too, you can definitely tell the NASCAR fan apart from a dirt fan. So I enjoyed seeing that there, though. I hope they enjoyed the show. The track was wet, so there wasn't, any dust. And yeah, I think the race was really exciting too. All of that. So, and then, yeah, Red Dirt, getting the midweek stuff going there was fun. Crowd I thought was really good. The racing was exciting. All throughout the field was intense. And then, yeah, Riverside, when I pulled into the parking lot, I had to park deep in the lot, and I could just tell the atmosphere was really, really good. So I hope all the fans have enjoyed it. I know I've enjoyed it when I've been there. I've enjoyed watching at home, all of that. So, and two, I think the competitors have all had a good time as well with it. So, yeah, it's doesn't come without challenges though. I think it's tough. It's really, really tough, I think, on everybody, trying to run and operate a series and keep it moving down the road. So everybody's been working really hard and doing a great job. As Brad mentioned, you, Chase, and Tony in the booth have been awesome. It's been really cool to see the fun that you guys have and all that. I think the fans enjoy it at home as well as the track. So all that's been really cool.
What were you and Rico fighting about at Red Dirt? You guys running into each other, I saw.
Space. I think we were just fighting for space. No, the camera got me, getting him, which I got him a lot worse than he got me. But he did get me a little bit in the beginning, and I had one shot to kind of show some displeasure during the race, and definitely ran him out of room. But you'll have that. I was running like shit, so been frustrated, and was going backwards regardless, and then just started driving like an absolute idiot trying to get back to the front. So felt like I was in a midget race for sure. Felt like Red Dirt was.
It reminded me of Chili Bowl, honestly. The sliders were basically I felt like it was if your right rear could just get to the Nerf bar, it was clear, and you just run right into the wall, or it was definitely you had to kind of be a little more aggressive than you really wanted to be. But it was hard to get away. It was really hard to just get going. It's a really round track, so you really open your if you don't have momentum, you're really vulnerable for a slide job. So
I watched the highlights, and they were really exciting, but it didn't even show how intense it was, because I was back to 13th or something at one point, and it was from, which I'm sure it was going crazy behind me. Tanner was flipping Brent Marks off under yellow. It was intense the whole way. So it was frustrating but fun.
Yeah, well, don't feel too bad. I had my little incident with James, so I was glad that he was okay at Salina. That was pretty wild. Got in there and misjudged him, and man, when you're going that fast and you bang wheels like that was kind of scary. So glad that James was okay, and we kind of talked about it, but we've raced each other a lot, never really ran into each other. So, and we're pretty good friends. So I was kind of man, that was a bad one, especially racing for the lead. That was no good.
Yeah, I was watching, I didn't, I'm watching from my couch, so I didn't even really know what all happened. But then they showed one, I was like, man, I don't know, maybe he thought he was going to hit the tractor tire, kind of swerved away from it or what. But it was just kind of.
I actually
purpose, but
yeah, I actually believe I hit a little bit of grease. Like they moved the tires in to try to get the bottom, and I think there was just a little bit of water that like someone had gone like below the berm, and it just sprayed out a little. Because I'd lose my front tires and just kind of like I lose my front tires and I lift and I just totally just kind of along for the ride right in the side of him. But I don't like to make excuses either way. Ran into him, so my fault. But yeah, that's scary. And then I saw the debate on, should Salina, needs a catch fencer, needs a wall. And I was kind of like, at first, like, yeah, I mean, totally agree. And probably still maybe agree. But like I asked James, I'm like, man, do you think if he would have hit a wall, that would have been worse than just like kind of flipping off into the grass? And he kind of believes, like he said, it was really, for as bad a wreck as it was like really gentle on him. Like it didn't hit anything hard. So that's an interesting debate, because we kind of like Chico, we have no walls and people slide off the ends. And then you go to like Tulare that has walls and it's like, people hit the walls and it's like, and then they fly back into the track. And, so that's an interesting kind of debate or concept to think about. Do you want the car to hit something or hit the wall? Because that's typically what hurts when you get in an accident. Is the
way he was flying too. Like, I mean, I'd have to watch it back, but like, I believe he would have hit like cage first.
I think he hit his tires, but I mean, either way, like just never stopping the energy.
If there was a wall there, he would have hit. Yeah, he would have hit
hard.
cage first.
He would have hit hard. Like that's kind of the, like when you look at accidents, like, man, what's better? Like letting the car just kind of go and not stopping energy or so it's, yeah, there's always going to be, that's one of the hardest parts about safety, I think, is there's a lot of opinions on what is safe and what is not safe. And we definitely got to learn a lot still and try to make sure that we figure out what the safest ways are, make sure that we implement those things as we move forward as a series and as influencers in this world.
Obviously, it was a big crash and a tough deal for McFadden as he was trying to get his first win of the year. But there is one good thing that came out of it, and it was probably, in my opinion, the tweet of the year so far, with Brad's face photoshopped onto some guy trying to punch a kangaroo. I thought that was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. That was awesome.
It was cool that he could come out and kind of, have a little fun with it instead of, everybody getting so serious. And then how about Jacob Allen? He's just...
I vote for tweeting Jacob Allen.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
He's just, James was fun. And then you got to love Jake Allen's personality because, it's this big announcement. I'm, he's so serious. And then, he's really playing his little deal up with Gio Scelzi and the
I love he's going to play pickup basketball at the YMCA.
Yeah, and we like to and Baps on Sunday because we like to race on Sunday. So yeah, Jake's a great guy, great personality, and you can just see how much more fun he's having this year with High Limit. Just having that freedom and the difference, it's a little bit of how I've been just, really excited to be at the track. But yeah, I love Jake, love his personality, and honestly love all the guys that we got. We got a lot of great personalities. It's been fun.
Definitely has. Yeah. The whole Fruit Loops thing. I bet you their sales have spiked here over the last couple of weeks. Toucan Sam is making a comeback, but we got some great races coming up here over the next week. Obviously we have this weekend off. But the next race is Midweek Money Series, 81 Speedway. And Corey, we're looking for his third Midweek Money Series win in a row if he can pull it off. He's never been there before. But, Rico, he's won, I think, 2 outlaw races there now. He's been pretty solid. But that's the next midweek show. And then obviously we go to Lakeside for 2 nights. And the first $50,000 to win race on Saturday over there in conjunction with the NASCAR stuff that's going on over there as well. But let's start at 81. Kyle, have you been to that track before? Have you raced 81 yet?
I won an all-star race there in 2020. That's the only time I've been there. I wasn't very good at all, but it thankfully took rubber around the bottom, and Zeb almost beat me. He was racing, I think, the McGee car back then. He was much better than I was. But, no, it was good. The crowd, I remember being really big, which it was everywhere in 2020, but the crowd was huge. It was super slick and all night, and then ended up taking rubber. But the outlaw races that I've seen there, the track's been really, really good. So I'm excited to get there. I remember it being like long straightaways, kind of turn one, sketchy, like tight, getting in, narrow kind of. So yeah, I'm excited to get there. I do think this will be like the beginning of Rico kind of turning his season around. I think, with his success he's had there, he's probably going to be really confident. Go to Lakeside, a half mile. I believe it's a half mile where, Ricky Warner is going to have that thing super fast. He was really, really fast there in the high limit race we had there last year. And then I think he broke or something, had a flat maybe. So I think Rico's going to have a good little stretch of races here coming up. So I know I'm excited about that. I know the fans will be excited to see Rico, running up front again and challenging for wins more consistently. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to this upcoming week.
Brad, it's going to be kind of a little reunion, right? I think Lakeside, is that the first track that we're going back to for the second time? Or we went to Lincoln Park last year twice, right? But this is the first.
Yeah.
How do you want to put it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Lakeside. So it's going to be a big deal. 50,000 to win. Last year, I don't think you ran it, right? You were in the infield doing some track work. Is that right?
I was doing track work, but I ran it. So
oh, you did run. Okay.
But that's about how good I ran. So no, I'm excited. Obviously now that we have a staff, I'm so much more relaxed at the racetrack. I get to focus on driving and honestly, I mean, it's just crazy to me as a sprint car driver. Like I'm home this weekend, but next week I'm going for, $80,000, in a week, 1 week span. I mean, as it's really cool to me that we've started this series and been able to already accomplish that 20,000 at 81 on a midweek race with Kyle there. And then you go over to Lakeside and 50,000 to win. So it'd be, a big week for High Limit. And obviously, it's kind of like the kickoff to, some of the bigger money shows. I mean, we have Lakeside being 50,000 to win. And then, later in the month, Port Royal 75,000. So, we have a midweek money series at Kokomo for 20. We just have a lot of great things. This is just like the start of it all. Like April is kind of the kickoff, then May it really gets going. And then obviously June, July, August is huge for us. And just, I don't know, I'm just excited about everything. But my Napa car is pretty fast right now. So I really feel like we got a shot to win, coming up in these next few weeks.
Yeah, a lot of races coming up here in the month of May. We already talked about, obviously, 81 at Lakeside, but you mentioned Kokomo, Tri-City, Illinois is coming up. And then we go on a pretty big New York swing. 3 races up there. The fans in New York are some of the best. I think they're underrated fans up there in New York. Utica, Rome, Fonda. I know I'm missing one in there, but
Outlaw,
a lot of Outlaw.
Yeah,
that's
Outlaw.
right. Yeah. So
yeah, and
I've never been. What's that?
Yeah. Oh, I said don't forget about Burlington either, because we go
Burlington.
I don't want to leave them out. We go Burlington, Granite City, Kokomo, and then Outlaw, and then Utica, Rome, and Fonda, and then into Port Royal.
Yeah, so a lot of good races coming up for sure with High Limit. And, Kokomo is one that probably I'm looking forward to the most. I've never seen wing sprint cars there, but I think maybe one time with the Outlaws. So, Kyle, which one of those ones are you looking forward to the most? Obviously, you're going to be at 81. You're going to be at Kokomo. Which other ones are you planning on going to be in at there?
I don't know. I'd have to pull my schedule up. I will not be at New York or Pennsylvania. But yeah, I mean, 81, Lakeside, Kokomo are the ones I think that I get to run here coming up. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get to go to Grandview at the end of May now. I have a Goodyear tire test at Iowa for NASCAR, so got to miss that one, which kicks me out of the whole midweek money series, which is unfortunate. But NASCAR is definitely the priority over everything. But yeah, so I'm gonna miss that. Grandview is a great track for me, and really love running there. But yeah, Kokomo is an awesome track, so you're gonna have a lot of fun there. It's the day before I get in the IndyCar for the actual month of May too, so I'm excited about that. I hope a lot of IndyCar fans and Indiana just race fans show up to see me get to run my one dirt race throughout those 2 weeks. So yeah, that kicks off probably the most memorable couple weeks of my life, hopefully. So yeah, hopefully it goes good. I feel like our car was better the other night, so we can tune it up before we get to Kokomo. We can have a good shot to be one spot better than we were last year.
So you guys haven't been able to talk. Go ahead, Brad.
Just admit that you're missing out on the midweek money series because you didn't want to have to lose
that's
to
probably what the
myself or.
Yeah, that's what the rumors will be for sure. I'm sure Chase Raudman will be, out there on his YouTube page. Kyle Larson's washed up and scared, and but no, honestly, I love obviously racing as much as I can. But when your crew chief tells you, "Hey, I signed us up for a tire test at a track we've never been to before in the Cup Series," I need to be there.
That does make sense. And, we haven't had a show, like I mentioned at the top, since March 15th. And since then, Kyle, you have gone to Indy. You've ran some laps in the Indy car, went second quick in that practice, which, I guess is shocking, but also it's not, I feel like, at the same time. But, the month of May is about 4 or 5 days away. Are you getting pretty excited? You've already shown speed, and the Indy 500 is just right around the corner.
Yeah, no, that was cool to go there and feel comfortable anyways in a tow. So I wasn't really that impressed with it because I was drafting and probably half the guys weren't drafting, so it really wasn't a big deal. But fans and media thought it was really cool, so whatever. But no, I'm excited. Yeah, it's finally coming to reality that it's here. We race NASCAR at Dover this weekend, then Kansas next week, and then we're actually going to do a quick trip to Paris for my daughter's birthday. So that'll be a good little final relaxation before it gets super hectic. So then I run Darlington and race Darlington Sunday, go straight to Indiana that night. Got some meetings, I think, Monday morning, then Kokomo, and then on track the next day. So that first week is heading track time every day, Tuesday through, qualifying ends on Sunday, and got the All-Star race Sunday night, back to Indy for Monday practice, and then have, I think, a lot of media stuff to do throughout the midweek portion of that second week. Carb day Friday, and then get to go do, to Charlotte for the NASCAR stuff, then come back for, Indy and the 500. And then hopefully that goes well and we can get to the Coke 600 and try and have a good day there too. So, just fortunate to be one of a handful of guys that have gotten to do the double. So I just hope it goes good.
You can obviously buy your tickets to all the upcoming High Limit races on highlimitracing.com. This is going to be probably the first Indy 500 that I've actually watched through the entirety. Brad, I know we're racing that night. I'm just hoping that Mike Hess or whoever, can get us either done in time. I don't know when the timing of the Indy 500 is, but hopefully we are going to be able to sit in a bar or something.
It'll be done before you guys have drivers meeting.
Remember, Kyle's racing 2 whole races that day. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So Indy 500 tradition, man. Chase, come on, you got to know this better. But Indy 500 is during the day. The Coke 600 will be at night. But I'm sure the whole sprint car world, the whole racing world will be watching and cheering on Kyle, and definitely all the dirt fans will be, hoping that you can bring one home for us or at least have a good showing. And we're excited to see you, man. It's pretty cool that you're going to be doing, living a lot of our childhood dreams. We'll have to live it through you and cheer you on, and it'll be an exciting day for sure.
Yeah,
living vicariously through Kyle.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
No, it'll be cool. It'll be cool. I've already felt the support, so I'm ready for it.
Well, I think that wraps things up here on the High Limit Room, guys. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll see you at 81 Speedway next week, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be there. Thanks for filling in, Chase.
No problem. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching the High Limit Room. See you guys.